Hello guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls. It's me, Big Mike, and welcome to another episode of Big Mike's Indie Game Showcase, the series where we look at indie games that have already been completed. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about an amazing game whose development I've been following for quite a long time, and that game is Magret and FaceDeBouc, an awesome point-and-click game by Adipson Studio, a developer whose work I have been a huge fan of since I first played their title Grandma Badass a few years ago. Now, before I get too far ahead of myself, I just want to throw up the following disclaimers. First, I make no claims at being a good gamer. I'm just a guy that enjoys gaming. Secondly, the gameplay footage you see in the background is going to be mostly chronological and coming from the first 20 to 30 minutes of the game. However, occasionally I may show some clips to illustrate some points that I'm making, so what you see on the screen may not follow the chronology precisely. Thirdly, I'm attempting to keep this video as spoiler-free as possible. And as I just noted, you'll be seeing the first 20 to 30 minutes of the gameplay here. And I will be mentioning some very mild spoilers in the review section of this video, but nothing major, I feel like. And lastly, I just want to bring this up. Some of the names that I'm going to be mentioning here are French names, and unfortunately, I don't have any experience with the French language. So please forgive me if I mispronounce any of these names. And with that, let's jump into the video, fam. If you're new to my channel or new to this series, the first thing we like to do here on Big Mike's Indie Game Showcase is to take a look at the developer. Adipson Studio has a long history in game development. According to his website, while he became a professional developer in 2012, his relationship with game development goes back much further than that. When he was just 11 years old in the early 80s, he was already developing games in BASIC, for at first the Commodore 64 and later the Atari ST. We don't normally look at a developer's professional life outside the realm of gaming here, or game development. However, when dealing with Adipson Studio, I feel like it's very relevant to Magret and FaceDeBouc. So starting in 2001, he began working as a freelance advertiser who specialized in creating 2D cartoon mascots for businesses. By 2010, he had produced over 800 mascots. In 2012, he began working on developing his first professional game, while also working as a web creator and designer. The game he started designing was an old idea he had first came up with back in the 80s, a point-and-click title called Free Geeks. It later released in 2019 with his next game, another point-and-click title, Grandma Badass, releasing in 2021. He has a deep love for this genre. His point-and-click roots go back almost equally as far as his game dev roots, as he started playing point-and-click titles on the Atari ST. And these titles would include the creations of LucasArts games, games like Manic Mansion, Monkey Island, or Day of the Tentacle. Now let's take a look at the Steam page. It reads, discover the pilot episode of a potential point-and-click adventure game series that will keep you entertained for hours on end. Step into the shoes of an extraordinary detective duo and journey through a captivating and humorous cartoon universe. Inspector Magret, a distinguished and upright green-necked duck, is forced to team with Inspector FaceDeBouc, a goat with a radically different temperament. Captain of the police, Mr. Hiroshiro, compels them to cooperate on the investigation of the murder of Mr. Kuan, a local merchant who was found in the early morning slicing the sausages and various pieces of charcuterie in his cafe. A game in the pure tradition of point-and-click adventures, with a nostalgic 90s old-school atmosphere in a timeless cartoon world. Solve puzzles, find clues, interrogate suspects, carry out arrests, and conduct interrogations at the police station. Explore all the crime-related locations in a sprawling city and enjoy the dark, caustic, and zany humor that has made Adipson Studios games a success. This pilot episode offers the genesis of possible future investigations and introduces you to all the key characters in the saga, including a scene where the two inspectors meet, the introduction of recurring characters such as Captain Hishiro, Landrock the Geek Panda, and Mr. Korbelot, the Forensic Vulture. The game features text and objects fully translated into English. Find the solution to many puzzles by following a certain logic. Configure the game in multiple screen resolutions or play in a window, an intelligent quest tracking log, a hint display help system, and a worm that gives you hints, means you can always stay on top of your objectives, find your way around easily, and almost never get stuck. You can combine objects with each other to design new ones. You'll need a mouse to control the game, and Magret and FaceDeBouc's movements, and a keyboard to enter information. Each of the two controllable characters has their own abilities and their own character. Choice of instant language change during the game. Save systems to secure yourself at any time or quit the game at any time. No loading times in the game. Access to a complete walkthrough and in-game Steam achievements guide at the save load screen. And the play times between 5 and 7 hours depending on your level of point-and-click skills. Now I want to give my thoughts on the game itself, and I want to start by talking about the game. The gameplay is dynamic, quite dynamic for a point-and-click title. In many point-and-click titles, you just get to control one character. Here you get to control two, the titular duo, Magret and FaceDeBouc. They aren't carbon copies of each other either. They have their own personalities, and these personalities affect the objects or clues they can interact with, or what they are willing to do. For example, Magret refuses to search for garbage or to enter any place without a warrant, but FaceDeBouc has no issue doing that. On the other hand, FaceDeBouc refuses to question most subjects, leaving it to Magret. Additionally, they both will interact with certain items differently, as well as interacting with certain items differently if they're solo or if they're together, and this will be key in solving some puzzles required to progress the game. A core part of many, if not all point-and-click titles are the puzzles. In Magret and FaceDeBouc, you will find a great mix of puzzles and clues in regards to difficulty. And if you're anything like me, some of these you'll get as soon as you see them, and others will be much more of a head scratcher. Some will require you to go back and retrace your steps, and others will require some experimentation. What really sets this game apart from other point-and-click titles I have played is that it includes tools in a game that help us to solve some of the more difficult puzzles. One such tool is Superworm. Whenever you're stuck, if you click on the lifesaver icon, whichever character you're playing as will blow a horn and summon Superworm, who will give you a hint to crack whatever puzzle you're currently in. Another helpful feature is found in the upper left corner of the screen and is a question mark. If you click on it, it will show you any clues you may have missed that are currently on screen. Both of these features work to make this a very accessible point-and-click title. In the past, there have been some point-and-click titles I have had to quit playing because I got to a point where I could not solve the puzzle, and so I could not progress. So in my humble opinion, both Superworm and the question mark feature are great aids that can be used and should only be used if you're truly stuck. I can't praise both of them enough, fam. And the last gameplay feature I want to mention here is the amazing supporting cast, which for most other point-and-click games I would typically include in the writing section. But in this game, they do more than just serve a narrative role. They are a vital aspect of the gameplay. Two in particular I want to talk about. One is Landrock the Panda, a technical genius and a huge fan of Adipson Studio's first game, Geeks. Since the city's police force is lacking in resources, he's willing to allow our duo to use his tech to help us to analyze DNA and to crack codes. The other is Ugly the Mole. He is your source to get information about different individuals and happenings around town. He is also the one who will give you the addresses of important places and even circle said places on your map, which in turn allows you to go there. Next, I want to talk about the aesthetics of the game, and I want to start by discussing the writing. The writing is very well done. I won't talk too much about the story as I don't want to give too much away, but I will say I found the story to be such that it made the game hard to put down. In fact, I would still be playing the game at this very moment if I didn't have to make a video. Now, while I don't want to talk too much about the story, I will come back and talk a bit more about the story after I talk about the art. Something I will talk in depth about in regards to writing are the characters. The characters are all well written, unique, and oftentimes quirky. Quirky in a good way. For example, the coroner is a vulture who may or may not be snacking on the remains of the victim. The duo of Magret and FaceDeBouc have some very unique names. Magret is French for duck breast, and FaceDeBouc could be understood to be goat face in French. This detective pair were inspired by the police duo of such classic films as Lethal Weapon and Tango and Cash. This can be perfectly seen in their back and forth and one-liners at the other's expense. I feel like Adipson did a fantastic job at capturing the spirit of this type of duo, and if you've ever seen any buddy cop film, you will definitely be able to pick up on these same vibes. Now, besides this main cast, you have a world populated with rather odd individuals. Lastly, in regards to the writing, I want to talk about the humor. The humor here is a mixture of puns, crude humor, and the back and forth between characters, and the sheer absurdity of the world they live in. I really love the humor here. Now, admittedly, as with all things art related, your mileage may vary. For me, the puns work well. A common example of this can be seen whenever you're playing and click the other character. Your character will often say an animal joke or pun. In regards to crude humor, it's about what you'd see in an episode of Family Guy, South Park, or on Adult Swim. And again, I'm someone that's really into that kind of humor. And a great example of this, as well as a great example of the sheer absurdity of the world they live in, is at the start of the game. There's a strange odor in town causing all types of havoc, including car accidents, fights, and Mickey Mouse falling to his death. And come to find out, it was due to a sleeping FaceDeBouc warming his nuts with a desk lamp. The next aspects I want to focus on are the visuals. The art for both the characters and the scenes is done in a cartoon-like style. And this is one of the things I really loved about it, fam. In his character design, you can really see Adipson's background as a mascot artist shine. After looking through some of his work as a 2D mascot creator, I can see some proto aspects of some characters used in Magret and FaceDeBouc. And I'll put some of those on the screen now. Not only is the art well crafted, but it forms a nice contrast. A contrast with what, you might ask? The story, or rather some parts of it. I mentioned earlier I wanted to come back to the story, and this is where I want to do that. The story as a whole, or at least what I've seen of it so far, is not a very gruesome one. But the murder scene involves the cafe owner, who's a pig, being diced, sliced, and partially turned into sausage. Now, this not only makes for good dark humor, but it also forms a great contrast to the cartoon style. Now, also in regards to the art, I love all of the characters, fam, but Landrock the Panda is probably my favorite, and I'm not sure if it's purely because of the art, as I really do love how he was designed, or if it's because I sympathize with him as a big guy myself who's into computers and technology. And something else that may make me a bit biased towards Landrock is the fact that the scene that happens in his house is my absolute favorite in regards to both the art and the animation. And I just like how both the animation and the design and the sound all work so perfectly together to make this scene, when the machine is activated, to look so beautiful. It was a fantastic scene, and it's something that's really caught my eye. And one other little detail about this scene that really stands out to me, I just love how Landrock has kind of this concerned look on his face, while the titular duo, they're kind of staring off into space. They're like, ah. And for me, that's not just great art, but that's also great character development as well. And the last aspect I want to touch on is the music. Now, I know I'm a ska punk dude, and I do very much love that genre. However, I do also really love lo-fi hip-hop or chill-hop. And if you're like me, you will really dig this game's soundtrack, as it's full of amazing lo-fi music. My favorite track of the entire game, as of my writing of this, is the song that plays in the murder victim's home. Here, have a listen. Here are my final thoughts on this game. The point-and-click genre is admittedly not one I have a lot of experience with. I was a console gamer for the greater part of my life, and point-and-click games are, much as the name suggests, a genre mostly found on computers. However, since I started my journey as a YouTuber, I have had the pleasure of getting to know this genre much better. I have games like Brock the Investigator, Death Corp, God for a Day, and Adipson Studio's most recent game, Grandma Badass, to thank for that. And Magret and FaceDeBouc have greatly added to this growing love of the point-and-click genre. I was a huge fan of Grandma Badass, and as much as I love that game, I feel Magret and FaceDeBouc is so much better. And this isn't a jab at Grandma Badass. That too is an amazing game you should definitely check out, but rather it's a testament to just how awesome Magret and FaceDeBouc is in regards to its writing, its art, its music, its puzzles, and its gameplay. As we saw earlier when we read the Steam page, this game is meant to introduce this world in hopes of further adventures building on it, and I really hope that's the case. I really hope we get to see more of this duo again someday. So in closing, Adipson Studio, you have a fantastic game on your hands, and I look forward to seeing not only any future stories that take place in this world, but also any other work you may put out. And for all you lovely guys, gals, non-binary pals, waterfowls, and goats today that may be watching this, you can get your own copy of Magret and FaceDeBouc on Steam or itch.io at the links below. There's also a demo available if you would like to try it for yourself. And if you would like to support Adipson Studio but can't afford to buy the game, please be sure to wishlist it. Wishlisting games is a great way to support indie developers. And with that, we'll call the video proper here, fam. Hello guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls, and welcome back to another Big Mike and Slate. The part of the video that's not really part of the video, while I'm all natural, uncut, unscripted, off the cuff, Duck Daddy, where I give you a look behind the scenes at some of the things that goes on into my making of videos and other stuff that's going on in my channel. So yeah, some really big news actually, fam. So this past week, the first episode of Big Mike's Life dropped, and Big Mike's Life is a series of shorts that I'm doing that's going to give you a look on my life as an expat living in a foreign country. This first episode was about me going to Nasi Padang Murah, or cheap Nasi Padang, and ordering food, talking about it, and also ordering my favorite dish there. This next episode is going to be about me going to buy salty snacks at a small local mom and pop style grocery store here in the city I live in. And in addition to these shorts, I also want to start doing shorts of some games I play. Some Sonic fan games, some Sonic hacks, and some other hacks and stuff. I'm in that time of the year where I'm really in the mood to play that type of stuff, and I would like to share this passion with all of you. And speaking of games, I've received some more games from some indie game developers, so expect content to continue to come on that front as well. And in fact, if everything goes to plan, the next video is going to be another Big Mike's Indie Game Showcase. And this time, fam, we're going to be taken to the stars in a 2D game that's reminiscent of Doom, Halo, and kind of games like that. And it's going to be really cool. It's a very cool game I had a chance to check out at a Sage Next Fest some time ago. So it's really, really cool, and I look forward to sharing it all with you lovely guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls. Also, another really big news, I am planning on doing some mini episodes of Coffee with Big Mike with some indie, not just indie, I should say. I would say Sage game developers. So these are indie game developers, these are fan game developers, these are developers of hacks and mods that are going to have projects at this year's Sage. Now, so far, I already have one developer, and these aren't going to be very long interviews like my normal episodes of Coffee with Big Mike, but it's going to be just maybe 5 to 15 minutes at most per developer. And I just want to kind of test the waters to see how everything is going. If everything goes good, then we can get back in the swing of doing full episodes, fam. And right now, I'm planning on combining these into one, but depending on how many I get, I may actually release them individually. And with that, that's really all I have to talk about here, fam. So I just want to, just to mention I do have a Ko-fi account. And for the time, any donation I receive or any donation you give will go towards helping me to build a better computer or to buy a better computer. And having a better machine would allow me to greatly improve my content and also allow me to do other types of content as well. And this other types of content would include playing more high-end indie games, being able to collab with some of my other friends who are streamers, who are VTubers, who are YouTubers, and playing, other games and such. And also, being able to do stuff with virtual machines, such as exploring other operating systems, maybe looking at some more risky types of software and such. But there's a lot of possibilities there, fam. So anything you can give to help towards this would greatly help the channel. And I'll put a link in the description to my Ko-fi account. But fam, I completely understand if you can't or you don't want to give. Times are hard, money's tight for many people. I'm just glad that you're here, and I love the fact that you're here, you're watching my video, and you made it this far. That really means the world to me. So special thanks to Fran, who does a wonderful job of doing my art. She's going to be back on Twitter at some point in time, if she's not already there. And when she does come back, you should definitely give her a follow, and be sure to commission her for all of your art needs. Not only is she a damn good artist, but she's a damn cool person and an amazing person to work with. I promise you, you won't be disappointed, fam. A special thanks to all of my friends on Twitter. I wouldn't be here without you all. And a special thanks to all of you for watching this video. Please like this video if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. But if you want to be really cool about disliking my video, and you're watching my video, so I already know you're pretty damn cool, please leave me a comment below and let me know why you dislike it so that I can improve my videos, I can improve my channel, and I can maybe even improve as Big Mike. But you know what, fam? Even if you like this video, you feel indifferent about it, or somehow you ended up here and you have no idea how the hell you got here, fam, still leave me a comment. I love hearing from you lovely guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls. And, it helps my video. It helps it to, be picked up by the algorithm and such and get seen by more people. But even more important than that, it helps me to connect with all of you. I said this before and I'll say it again. As a YouTuber, I don't have the means to connect with my audience like my streamer friends do. And so comments are really the only way I have to connect with you all. So I really love that. I would really love for you lovely guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls to comment so we can strike up a conversation. And if you like my content, please subscribe and turn your notifications on. Until next time, fam, remember, just be yourself and you'll be awesome. Peace out!